combined with Delaware?
Probably not after me. No, it's always been combined.
That's the way the sun's setting. That's a pretty picture.
But it's always
Might
been
be a
housed
screensaver
around.
right there.
I broke that.
You wrote that one.
So, was there anybody in between you and Amanda?
No. Amanda and me. He was actually, you're right, he was. That was one thing Lisa Trell did for him. Was made him state certified. Yeah. So he was truly the only Delaware state certified.
Yeah, what are you digging up there, Randy?
North of here, yeah. It really is difficult. It's really not fair. Well, the thing is, you end up on 3 leadership team meetings. You got 3 different missions and so forth. I mean, I'm a little bit different than most state soil scientists. I have a big resource staff. Resource soil scientist staff. I've got 5 full-time and 2 ACEs.
That's what Jason Martin said, that the soils program out in Albuquerque is really poor compared to here.
Yep. So I have a big, relatively, I have like more resource soil scientists than like Kansas. Crazy how many I have compared to some of these other states. But, you know, when
Complex land use. Yeah.
well, it's not only complex, everything we do is high profile. We're comfortable with very heavily regulated
My favorite one we
states.
pulled down.
And if something goes bad, it will end up in the paper. So we can't have that.
Yeah.
So we look at just about everything.
Start your shelf, and then at your end of your career, you have the hundreds, and you'll have no idea. You have children?
Already well on the way.
You have children? Well, you'll forget it all once you have kids. Because I would be able to tell you every hole I ever dug everywhere and what I described until I had kids in it. All just
So what was your texture?
because now you got to remember about diapers and everything like that. Yeah.
Birthdays.
That was really depressing when I went to like. So Jim and I were just reminiscing. He remembers the first hole he's dug, and he remembers the last hole he's dug, and that's about where I'm at right now.
Nothing in between.
But you remembered every single frickin' map that you worked on and all that. And I used to be able to pull out a Florida soil survey. I'd be able to go right to that sheet and say, "Yep, I was right there. It's all gone."
Yeah, we pricked everything, and when the MLRA officers come up, of course, they got all of our notes. And normally we would Xerox field sheet and show where we did our work at. But every now and then they'd have a field or a description and have a where it was at. But then I'd have my master soil survey book with everything
That's what I was
prick
feeling
marked, and I'd be
clay
looking them up. Oh yeah, I remember that. So and so owns the farm. This, that, and the other thing.
And all that documentation that we kept, the next DC came in and threw it in the dumpster. Yep. Before it got digitally captured.
Might still be long, but there's more.
We should have hired a long time ago a microfiche specialist for the whole state and just make microfiche of everything.
Well, Joe and I actually, when the first Pedon come out, we put all of our stuff in that. Then they kept upgrading Pedon. We
You leave
couldn't
us
get
out.
it to upgrade, so we sent it all to George Teachman, since he lost all of it.
I don't doubt it one bit.
7,700 observations.
Oh, no.
Teachman lost all of them.
Wow.
We have
Thanks,
them in
George.
the machine.
Oh, my God.
Yep, we put all our eggs in one basket.
Okay, Randy, what do you find? It's just
I'm
tight.
getting down now. It's really the first bucket or second bucket I've got. What's the play on that? Looks like there's almost clay films picking up on here at the bottom. So we got a tape measure, so we can just kind of keep track of.
We got to find that buried surface.
Yeah.
So.
Feels like Elginboro.
He doesn't. He just needs 1 sense to map soils.
So
Does it smell like
did you have
Elsenberg?
this as greenbelt?
Yes.
This can't be greenbelt because greenbelt's coarse loamy, so you're probably in the LaGuardia or one of the other higher artifact soils. Ebbets is another one. That's in filled marshland. Ebbets, like that has an but Ebbets has an anthrodensic. So if you think, I don't know if this would be anthrodensic up here.
Yeah, well, that's what happens. Wherever things start at, they kind of drag it out
I didn't
there.
spit. I used clean water.
green
Well,
belt.
the mic is going to throw you off a little.
Yeah,
I'm going to get a number and then I'm going to
Clean
throw it to
fill.
Phil next.
It's just like they're clean filled.
Right, but it says like urban areas throughout the
And I'm
northeast.
going to fudge it
And
down a
says
little
it's on
because of the mic.
tidal marshes or
Okay,
upland.
we'll do the 1, 2, 3
very
call out and play.
Right, there's just too many fragments in this.
Jeez. Everyone's going to get a chance at it. If you do texture by group and take the average, spot on every time. I actually have data to prove that. I do. Yeah. For rapid carbon, the 3 of us would yell out the
I'm gonna
number,
make a note that
take the
below
average,
90 centimeters
and
is
it'll be on
native
every time.
compacted
Jim?
soil,
It's a good bucket.
Yep. alluvial.
These are
Oh no! Right in the hole it goes.
Thank you.
But now it's bastardized. You kind of like rolled it in the bread
tape measure.
Right here.
That was
Here, let me show you
kind
this.
of towards the bottom, right?
Here's about the.
Towards the bottom? Okay.
That is what's going on? Oh, 176.
Go. Here we go again.
Look at that stuff.
All right, are we ready to?
Yeah, that's
what do we
pretty
think?
cool.
Look at the
On the
redox.
count of 3,
Yeah.
we call out and play. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
25.
19.
22.
25, 19.
22.
22 is the answer. That's
Oh,
the middle.
that's
Oh, that
Jim's got the one.
What do you say?
Well, the gravel's
23.
dropped out.
Chuck it.
25. So it's 3 rounds.
So I hit no
I can make
gravel.
a 2-inch ribbon, so I
had no
started at
gravels
27, then I knocked it back
None?
to
Yeah,
25.
different horizon.
And so the last horizon you
Yeah.
described was
You're
15%.
going heavy.
So
We have another
we are
horizon
getting
down there.
heavier.
That was at around 175, 180
Yep.
belt.
No gravels.
Easy digging now?
Well, that one was. As long as the rocks don't fall in the hole before I get the auger back in there.
See,
Protect your hole.
I was gonna go 20%, and then you said I'm gonna dial it down with the mic guys. I thought, all right, I gotta go lower.
So that's why you went
That's why I
19.
went.
You need this.
Yeah. But I was thinking 20.
All right. You're not too far from hitting some wetness down there.
I'm surprised I went heavier than Phil. I thought usually I'm lighter than Phil. In texture, not in body.
Yeah, John, but we're both paleo highly weathered with a good clay ball.
Yeah, look at the streaking right there.
That's a white
Glossic
smelling goat right
features
there.
Right here.
Completed.
Oh, there we go.
The gray
Oh, look
streaking
at
and the
that.
epithet on.
And do another depth. With the whole bucket or just the end?
Here, step on
No,
this.
I'm just gonna-
Step on that shovel. A little bit further out. Here you go.
Right there. That's 202 at the bottom of the bucket.
202. That's very surface.
Would you hit some organics?
Yeah, that's very surface.
Mineral or
Mineral.
so just darker, old topsoil?
Yep, that's what it looks like to me.
At what, 200? If it's past 200, we don't describe it.
It doesn't exist.
Well, we just
exist.
confirmed our HTM over native pretty clearly. So it's good.
So do we think that there's,
Wet it up.
so
Put some water on,
that
watch it turn
very
black.
surface that we hit, is that what you're talking about as the beginning of the native soil?
The like 90.
A 90
Probably
beginning?
90.
Probably 90.
Okay.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
probably a little bit of mixing at the
Young
top.
alluvium
Sure.
on top of
Yeah.
probably old alluvium.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Or that could be coastal plain down there. That could be,
Well, we'll look to see if we got a lot of micas in it.
yeah.
You want another bite?
Yeah, another bite, please. How dark did it get?
Now, what we're looking for next is a stone line. Where you hit the old
Got a
outwash.
The 8-foot auger.
Well, I do have a 7-foot auger in the vehicle if we want to go that far. Looks like you're gonna stop.
Down my back.
There is.
Everything's always bigger and stronger in Maryland.
Delmarva.
Delmarva.
Like Texas.
We're going to take over the world.
You know, Delaware's like the Texas of the Northeast.
Yeah.
First in everything.
First to the party, baby.
Don't want some of that.
Yeah, but we're the Keystone
First
State.
soil
We
survey.
hold it all together.
We all have Ben Franklin. He's the bomb in my book. Ben Franklin was the man.
And even before him with William Penn, man.
Yeah, I liked
Good
Ben
Quakers.
Franklin because he was statesman, scientist, ladies man.
Ladies
Never
man, sure.
didn't have to become president. And still ended up with a $100 bill. I mean,
And we don't know what he was doing in France.
I know what he was doing.
Here's one from the bucket Jim just pulled.
When he walked out of the Congress, they said, "What do we have?" He goes, "A republic, if we can keep it."
All right, John. Here we go again. That's that.
All right, so now we got to dial it back for the organic.
Were there any other gravels in that bucket, Jim?
Do you have the other
I
one?
hit
The
gravel
original?
at the bottom there,
I
around
don't.
210. Just
Okay.
now,
You gotta
but it was
compare.
pretty clean.
Yeah, I found one in the
Feels
bucket.
pretty similar, maybe a touch less.
I thought it was a touch less.
Okay, good. Yep.
That's rough. To get your hand.
Oh yeah, that's 17.
You want to go to that?
Yeah,
Last bucket?
What'd you say?
17.
Oh, it leaves a thumbprint. It's at least 18.
I think so, yeah.
No
he's got
stiffness to it. Nice farm soil. Wish I had in my yard.
All right, so you call out again?
I mean,
You said 17. What do you think? You think 17?
I would have guessed 20. I would have gone from 25 down to 20. I'm a little bit of a heavy thumb, I guess.
You're going to have to turn this time zone.
And you know, you have to understand the difference between an opinion and the answer because we're in Pennsylvania.
That's
right?
true. Yuri has the final call.
That's right.
So it doesn't really matter.
Well,
what the
actually,
rest
it goes toward the young gentleman from Frederick.
No.
He's running the show here
No.
with textures.
Yuri still has the final call.
How about
Well,
Lincoln Lab?
I think 17. So let's say 17, right? That's about 17%. So it's less than the horizon.
you just want to get a coarse loamy to get it into sassafras. That's what you want.
Actually, I think it's closer to, we're looking at a buried Elsinboro.
Stop with your Elsinboro.
I'm telling you, that's what it looks like.
Randy had it.
You want it?
That's what it looks like.
So we're looking at human influenced and transported materials, the upper 90 centimeters, and what are we looking at? A couple different alluviums?
Yeah.
That's how you're seeing it?
Old alluvium.
Young alluvium over old.
There's,
Can't have the opposite.
yeah, but it's, let's see. Yeah.
13, 12.
But I would not be surprised to see an outwash feature.
Who's to say that buried A wasn't fluffed?
That could be.
Are you
There's a
still
lot of
digging,
it floating
Randy?
around.
You can jump in there.
This is fine. Well, the only problem is the cobble.
The structure, you think it's really good.
Wow, he got
So I
deep.
noticed you had a P on the first site we went to.
Oh yeah. It's not loud.
Yeah, but it's any type of disturbance.
That's what I thought.
It says disturbed, but I think it actually says ag.
Ag or cattle grazing. Yeah.
Bookmark?
So the question becomes, if they put this in here, then they disc it to plant it to recover it.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, you just don't have enough information.
You guys probably described strong structure in the surface, didn't you?
But that's
The way it was coming out.
The question is when does an AT go back to an A?
Grapes on
I'd
vine.
have to look at it again. I don't even remember at this point.
Well, we describe A's over APs in all the woods. And it reverts back. Because the upper part is much higher in carbon, higher granular, and then down below you see the remnant compaction from a disc or movable plow.
We're describing a lot of A over AP with 30 years of no-till.
Right? Same thing. We start seeing this with soil health start looking close.
Yep. Completely different structure. Color difference.
Color differences
Yeah.
can be it can be as much as a chroma and a value.
We usually that upper part is all worm casts anyway. Yeah. If it's no clay. Just did a soil quality health event at a local Amish farm here in Berks County. He had 4 inches of worm shit on top of his old AP.
He lays the manure on still.
Oh yeah, yeah. And while we're it was like spaghetti in the bottom of the pit. While we're talking, they're just coming out all over.
So is that redox or lithic?
There's definitely redox in there. Where's that big?
This is like at the transition between
Ben actually described that at the contact.
Yeah.
Or two.
Where did I see that? I had a big plot of tons of redox.
7.5 wire for it.
Now it's
I
probably
got
just
threw it away.
two things going on. A little bit of a perfume.
That's redox, right?
All of a sudden,
Right, that's right on contact, right below
supercharge
the
that area
artifact
with
layer.
organic matter. So maybe it doesn't have a water table, but it satiates.
Yeah, I'm seeing
And it's enough to get
depletions and
production.
concentrations
They're
there.
very short.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that? In the hole or at the bottom of the pit?
This week, yes. I don't know if we're gonna come back up and do that.
Yep.
That's where you would expect to find it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah. Super.
No, we haven't.
No, that's an A down there, and I bet you it was 4.3 on color.
Bet you if we had a big pit and you took a step back, it would probably look.
You gotta be careful what you call redox. It's a piece of iron.
Oh, yeah.
And you would mistakenly call that a concentration if you're not careful.
Yep, 3AD.
I'll put that with the, you can feel it. It's definitely
yeah.
a piece of iron.
Oh, yeah.
So what did you describe? So here's the human transport, and then what was right below it that you were debating about? Is that
If it was outwash, if it was alluvial, or if it was old fill. That's what we're talking about. I think we're going to say it's native material that was compacted.
certainly cleaning
right at
and
the
it's got
contact.
redox.
Yeah.
That's a perk zone right there. I don't think there's no flow shit really to drive it, but there's redox going on.
They probably
Yeah.
compacted the shit out of this place when they were before they filled it. Yeah. So this is what I would call a Levittown subdivision. So post World War II, Levittown, New York is the poster example of the subdivisions, the curved roads, the cul-de-sacs, mass, building 100 houses at a time. This is one of them here. I would guess, we were saying only, and we probably guess these are getting close to 100 years old, 80 to 100 years old, I would bet. And that's where you're looking at mass movement. They probably went and cleared the whole area out. They probably pushed it back into here, built the houses, brought a little bit of the topsoil back. Very similar to what they're doing now. Now it's a lot more shaping the landscape first. This guy wants to be up on the hill. This guy wants to be down near the pond. Oh, we got to build these erosion and sedimentation basins that now become a pond, right? Post construction.
What? A D?
On that 90. That stuff is pretty hard.
But is it contiguous? We don't know if it's contiguous. That's the problem.
The question is,
You want to map it that way. That's the
You'd like
question.
to map it, yeah.
the question, huh?
Yeah, right.
I'm just asking for somebody else's opinion, because this
It's
isn't
pretty dense.
glacial dense, it's anthropogenic dense.
Yeah.
Because they contacted it and then put the film on top.
Yeah. They
Do you use
Potentially.
D with anthropomorphic soils?
You can.
You can. Do you? Is it
It's
common?
done in New York.
It's done in New York.
Evans series. Yeah.
Precedent has been set.
Anthro-Densic. It's called.
Yeah, because typically it's a
That's
CD
a tax
up in
fill.
dense basal fill is where we use it as a parent.
This might-
And it may also be a diagnostic.
It probably
feature.
is diagnostic.
Yeah.
Can you describe it as can it be fragile? It's not native, right?
Well, I think since we have anthropogenic material on top, you can assume that it's anthro-densic. I don't know, it's just something to think about.
Yep.
You would
I'll
never
put a note.
consider fragic then, which is a pedogenic
No.
process.
All those things, we keep finding it along the fringes of these, or marsh areas. Maybe
just
Not if it's a one-off.
I just, you know, there was a lot of urban stuff we looked at, and just getting into the Densic stuff. The bias down here was, that's a glacial thing, and we start throwing it around on anthropogenic Densic.
Maybe keep it separate for the time being and
Well, there's no way to, it's, right now, it's both. I mean,
you just talk about the little d though, not the taxonomic classification. I have no problem with where you throw a d. Yeah.
It just means it's dense.
Right.
And it's root
Right.
limiting.
If it meets the criteria of a little d, yeah.
and if you look, it's root limiting.
You see any roots
Do you
down
see any
there,
roots?
like 100?
Because they're definitely down at like 80.
Yeah, but look at how many of them go down and go horizontal right at that depth.
Right there, that's a horizontal. That's yeah, okay, they're right at the contact.
And it loosened
A
up.
few.
Are they below
About like
90?
100.
Yeah, a few.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah,
But not
Not overall. Most of it's not.
Are they more than 10 centimeters apart? That's kind of the bedrock rule.
yeah, I'd use the same.
Okay.
Just something to think about. Just don't.
And where was our horizon break? Delaware.
I just extended the put it 130, 175.
So there could be melt coming through.
You said that buried was about 190 or 200
Was-
That's what they were talking about as far as.
It was 175, and then I took one more bucket, and we just touched the bottom.
Years ago,
So it was just above 200.
Flow, it was never glaciated, but
So 190 sound
it
good?
melt water carrying all the
When you got
stuff.
into the
So maybe, I think it's possible.
So what were you asking again?
Okay, so we went 90 to
Maybe
130.
neurological.
So 90 would be.
I don't know how you can do it.
Well, I don't know how to go.
Yep.
130, that's where
Well, you know, texture change, sandy line.
Do you have a lithologic discontinuity? Put a 2 on it?
Yeah.
By texture or by age? You're going to call it
Yeah,
old,
what's
young over old?
Phil,
Glacial elements received.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the alluvium over the alluvium.
Did you go
Deeper.
3 AB?
oh
Yes.
yes, we did.
You go for a 3 AB.
3, yeah.
Especially since you found the buried surface. You definitely want
Right.
to go with a 3. That you've got 3. You're showing that's an old surface that was a stable
That'd be a
landscape for a
lot
long
older.
time, and then something brand new got buried on top.
there.
Neat soil.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
very
it is.
cool.
Nice to have backup
The
bed.
backup pit definitely is really.
What we say about
BC. Do you put little B's on BCs? You have to put them on those B
You
horizons.
don't put them on transition horizon.
You don't put right.
far on plan. I'm gonna do it all by myself. I put 2
You don't
every
put them on
day.
C horizons also.
It needs to be a pedogenic
That's what I do.
diagnostic, not a diagnostic, but it needs to be formed in place. So it has to
That
have
one's really
be an A or a B, some kind of pedogenesis, and then it was buried. That's so a C you can't prove if it was buried or not because there's no
In terms of like
pedogenesis
sand,
going on.
almost. Giant sand. Yeah. Very, very bottom line is like a lonely sand.
Man, the
That's
old
what you get in the auger hole.
Yeah.
It's kind of
correlation goes are waking up.
Did you get the asphalt?
But I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But, right. Right. There's got kind of penetration direction too. But, yeah.
You guys had a pretty quiet.
Yeah.
So, question with the percent of artifacts, how did it classify out?
It's a.
Sure. So I had a mixture of gravels and artifacts. We had the highest number of artifacts was 20%, and the highest number of gravels we had was like 30%. So a couple of horizons did. If you add those two up, they came out as 35 greater loamy skeletal.
So this would be a loamy skeletal particle size class.
Yeah, but the highest artifacts were only 20%.
So
How
does
sheer?
that go a loamy skeletal artifactal?
It's not artifactic because it doesn't have 30%, 35% or more artifacts. You combine them for the particle size class, and then also for the texture modifiers. So in this case, we have very gravelly artifactual.
Yeah.
Since we have-
And
since we
where's
have
the
both.
particle control section here? 10 to 40?
25 to 90.
Up to 90, right.
Right.
And
if you follow
25 to
the
90. Right.
offhand convention, I think I'd have to read the buried rules.
And that
if
goes
you
very
can extend
gravelly.
across the buried boundary. If not, it would just be 25 to 100.
Right.
Probably wouldn't change it.
Okay.
But yeah, it would be. You're talking about is it artifactic or quasi-artifactic?
Right.
So this is where it gets confusing. So the human altered family material class is posse, 15 to 35%, because he's averaging 20 to 30%.
So that's the
artifacts.
family.
That's
Okay.
the family.
Got it.
So it's a coarse loamy, posse artifactic, mixed,
Mesic
around here.
Or Mesic.
Yeah.
CEC,
What's our CEC class around here?
it probably active.
Oh, it's probably active. Yeah. Generally, most of ours are active or sub-active.
It's not nice.
Yeah.
The fragments and the artifacts could be a little bit off too, from what I just visually.
It was hard to
Yes.
pick that apart.
I like that
So much going on.
kind of shot. And that's all the different things you pull out of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is this just a typic backguard? Pulling it separate.
Through BW's on there.
Let's look at the structure.
I mean, there's almost a little ledge right there. 25, 30, where
Let's just take a
picks
look.
up.
Over here. 25 to what?
See where that golf tee is? Right below that.
So in these two. You can see the structure. This second row.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
Almost lost you there.
And this whole thing with the structure might need to be revisited if it's too much of a wish-washy problem. Is it functioning a certain way just because there's plugins? But if we're really gaining anything.
Right.
Understand both sides.
Yeah, BW, sandy loam, 12% clay.
And those 25 or 7 down to what?
Down to 90. Sweet. Thought about splitting that out, but it's pretty much all same stuff. Same texture too.
Liking this squid on it.
Oh yeah.
It's much thicker and bigger than it. I already know. I mean, it's like a black handle. It's real skinny.
Yep. I have
It's just not the same.
I've got an old one. My soil judge would used it forever. Was afraid to lose it. Took it, put it in my office. So I bought a new one. I absolutely despise it. It digs into your hand. The old one's better. Yeah, it's got structure to it.
It's pretty cool.
Then that means it would be that septic.
It's just kind of cool for me seeing this.
40
It's a dry
factor.
climate. It's just, it doesn't look like this.
Yeah.
It's a whole different.
And that's the important part of getting around and seeing a lot, because we're all have our own bias. We're only looking at a very small part of the universe.
Only part of the elephant. Each only looking at part of the elephant.
That's what Rob Knight, did you know Rob Knight?
Oh yeah.
We were looking at the Colorado Mountains. We had red ones, we had gray ones, and he's like, why are we killing ourselves? We're looking at different parts of the same elephant. And that struck me. I'm like, okay, we're done. It just ranges from red to instant tall.
I hate to ask this question, but when does an artifact become a cultural resource? And how much did you have to deal with that, with taxonomy and all this stuff?
They don't.
You're not the first one to ask that question, and we haven't gone down that
I
road.
teach it at boot camp,
Yeah.
and all this shit here we say is valuable. You need to document it. And take that into consideration when you're making your when they're making their decision. I thought you were coming out.
Oh no. I'll go out that way. Thanks.
We have a policy, our agreement with SHPO, it's a survey, and tips of a certain size, we're okay, we don't have to contact them.
That's nice right there.
Right or wrong.
Well, right.
But we got that exemption.
We have similar ones in the States, but they call
But the
us-
definition that we teach in boot
Yeah,
camp
okay, right, that's.
is a cultural resource, is a human artifact that's more than 50 years old. These bricks are cultural resources.
You go into any of our crop fields, there's artifacts everywhere.
Well, broken tile
They would take.
could be a cultural resource.
Well, when they would burn in the house, they burn their trash and they take it out and spread it on the field.
Oh,
Well,
keep your finger there, Jim.
when we actually go out to the field
That's a really
and
good
do that
picture.
lesson plan in Lincoln, that's what we're showing them. There's an old homestead there, Phil, and we're picking up all kinds of broken glass, and this is all cultural resources.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
And yeah, it's funny how we're looking at the same elephant from different ends again, right?
Well,
It's
the
how you
difference
describe
on-
this.
The difference on it is this significant? Will it be eligible?
Well, that's part of the whole cultural resource inventory process, phase one, right? That's all part of that. But the definition of a cultural resource is we're looking at something, right?
Yeah.
According to the definition. Yeah.
Well, it's all out the window now because of 9/11.
So what is the
That's a cultural resource, which is now a national historic
no, it'll be,
monument. And that was
7.
done less than 10 years after
I think
the
40
event.
factor.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
That's considered a cultural resource.
Yes. Yep.
I think for good reason.
Yeah.
It doesn't meet the original definition.
We have a good relationship.
So when Jim Doolittle was mapping the unexploded ordnance on Guam in the 1970s, he wasn't digging up buried bombs, he was digging up cultural artifacts, right?
Yeah. You ever do a military base map?
Fort Indian Town Gap.
You go out with EOD guys?
I was accompanied by them, yes.
EOD and 2 corpsmen. It's not fun doing a military
I had the
base.
time of my life because they let me go turkey hunting there
training.
afterwards.
Heck yeah.
We had to do UXO training and then go report if you
I
find
bet that's got
anything.
no pressure on it.
You go in there, they got a table full of old projectiles and little tank landmines and stuff. They're like, if you see any of these, call us.
The very first cultural resource training I ever did was at an area office in Bloomsburg, right along the Susquehanna River. And the local technician did the training, and then he brought out all of his arrowhead boards. He had like 10 of them, showing all the arrowheads that he collects them in his, it's like, well, shouldn't you have left them and documented and left them? And it's like, oh well, that's what I do on the side.
Yeah. Wasn't on the clock.
Yeah. Now we take a picture, we document, and we walk away, right? Like, what are we going to do with those? Do we bury them where we found them?
I don't know, do you?
Yes.
We got
I don't know.
$1 million.
I'm not going to be that meticulous. It's going in the
I
way
ain't.
that the backhoe's pushing them.
I ain't, yeah. I mean, it's,
They're not leaving, so at least that's a benefit. But right, what is the significance of this bolt? Probably no significance, zero significance. Right? It wasn't the last bolt that went onto the Verrazano Narrows Bridge or something, right?
yeah.
She was happy.
We actually have a spot in Washington, D.C. where they did mustard gas, sarin gas testing during the First World War, and they buried it.
Here's a bigger piece if you're interested in more. And that's pegmatite that it's
Is
solidified.
that what it's called?
Yeah.
Pegmatite?
Which they
stuff?
use as for making porcelain.
So that's probably what that big
I'm
old
wondering what
thing
that
is in there.
is.
I
One
handled it a
giant
bunch of
piece
times.
of-
It is just white as can be like this stuff.
Yeah, that's a big piece of pegmatite
Yeah.
right there.
I'm definitely keeping this.
Which
This
is
a good
probably not native. It was probably dug up in
Yeah.
one of the deep, and they brought it over here and dumped it.
one. Sure.